Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter Americas. We're moving into our second series for the Americas group. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Zombie Grub here at the desk. We got our PvP specialist. What's up? Casting PvP since 2011.
That's me. Well, that's not wrong, I suppose. I have cast many a PvP, but I don't like PvP is already this really just like dynamic beast. That I think is confusing in general, but then you throw in people like
players would agree with you.
Yeah, you throw in people like puCK who play a little off anyways, who try and force games that other people find very uncomfortable, and then you have Firefly, who is a Chinese Protoss, who those were the ones that initially kind of got the what's the word I'm looking for? Not notoriety necessarily, but maybe notoriety about how Protoss players play from China. Remember all those NASLs? We had a lot of Chinese Protoss.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like a lot of that kind of reputation has shifted off over to the Taiwanese Protoss now.
Yes.
Though. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But the point is that this could be a very different type of PvP.
That's very true.
In general, for both players' reasons.
What's kind of interesting is that puCK especially used to have a big reputation as having his own unique style. I mean, you go back to puCK maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he was the guy who would go for everything that he did was just kind of super out of the meta.
Right.
And whether it was in the meta or out of the meta, he still would have been going for it. He just found his playstyle that he enjoyed, and that was the way that he played StarCraft best.
Yep.
These days, the past year and a half, puCK plays a lot more standard. He plays a lot more normal. He still has his own little kind of pocket weirdness that he'll bust out every here and there. But I do think he's going to be moving into this. He is feeling pretty confident. He's been deliberately avoiding streaming, which is something that puCK has actually been focusing a lot on the past year, and specifically said, I'm not streaming for like the past week or two because I don't want to reveal any of my builds. puCK has definitely been doing some kind of funny stuff, so I'm hoping to see some of that weirdness come in.
I think we will. I mean, the last time I saw puCK, he was still going for aggressive maneuvers, so not just like, you know, aggressive builds, like he has an idea of how to send a build towards an all-in or something like that, but just aggressive decision-making. Like when other people would retreat, he would force the base race, is the most prominent thing I think of when I think of puCK. He's the one that says, yes, please, and thank you, base trade it is.
He loves those kind of weird decisions, I think. Yep. He loves getting into those weird games, and it's something I really enjoy about puCK. And puCK is one of those players that you will watch him, and one of the things, my favorite thing about puCK is that he is a flashy player. He is one of those guys that you will watch him in a lot of his games. He does crazy flashy micro, great Warp Prism blink back micro, just actual good blink micro. His blink stalker was like his spirit animal for the first 4 or 5 years of his career. So I think it's going to be a fun match regardless whether puCK wins or loses. That's something I always enjoy about puCK, is he brings a good game.
Yeah, he's a fun player to watch. We don't know exactly what Firefly's style is, so we can't say the same about him. But just in the matchup in general, it's going to create... The matchup is about being aggressive. We have players who can play nothing but 3 like straight-up macro games, but it feels like it's so rare, even with the most straight-up players. You know, Stats, for instance, straight-up player. I see him cheese and do all types of weird things in PvP, because that's what you got to do.
That's very true. PvP, a fickle beast where you can't always just have your game plan and execute it. You got to react to your opponent, you got to deal with the weirdness, and you got to deal with whatever your opponent throws at you. Let's see what these guys are going to be throwing at each other as we jump into our first game of this best of 3.
It is going to be on Automaton in the top right-ish. Blue Protoss. It is Firefly.
In the 8:15 p.m. position, we have the red Protoss player from Root Gaming. He is puCK.
I hope you understand that PM and AM isn't different on a clock like that.
But I'm not wrong.
No, you're not.
That's all I was going for.
Okay, well.
You're not going to question me saying 8:15?
No, because I am totally with you. Automaton has the weirdest spawn locations.
I like it, though.
I mean, it's fine. It's just that, like, in other non-corner spawn positions, it's at least, like, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, right? But this is a map where it's like, no, it's
we
like
used to have more maps like this, though, and now everything's corner and corner to corner.
By the way, I think it's more like an 8:45 position. I'm just going to
That's a little that's a little too close to 9 o'clock, which I think would be.
Wait, 9 would be like.
Oh, pylon cancel. Oops.
I don't care. We're talking about clocks.
Okay. Whoa, zombie grub.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know what the pylon was about. I guess it was just a little early.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of nerves. Sometimes that is something that puCK will struggle with. He has good days and he has bad days in terms of how well he's feeling about his StarCraft. Same as everyone else. I think puCK has sometimes been a little bit more victim to it. He's been better the past year and a half. He's really worked a lot on that kind of mentality when he plays in these high-pressure situations. But yeah, it comes back and it haunts everyone now and again.
Yeah, that is a very good point to make. puCK's also coming into this kind of the more well-known player, so even though he's been hiding his strats recently, Firefly is the one that has any intel on him whatsoever, where I'm guessing puCK doesn't have the same. puCK has played a couple of Chinese Protosses recently, and Firefly, most of his results do come from Chinese tournaments, so there might be some similar styles there, but really you're coming in against an unknown guy, and you're already a little bit nervous, and on top of that, you don't have the confidence of, like, I know exactly what he's going to do, which is important because we have a proxy robo.
Yep. And we got the first probe over here for Firefly, seeing its Stalker Sentry opening from puCK, and 2 more Gateway units start up behind it. It's going to be double Stalker after that. So puCK might actually be looking to poke out and scout around. Oh my god. He is not necessarily rallied to actually scout out that robo just yet, but he is really scouting heavily for a proxy.
That's a very good thing to do. He's got a probe in the top left.
Oh,
Stalker.
because he didn't see the second pylon. He didn't see the second pylon with his probe.
What? No, he did. Yeah, he did. The second pylon was on the low ground.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah. I was like, hold on here. Like, that is too obvious. But something is up, whether it's just the whole, like, well, it's PvP and I don't know my Protoss opponent. Scouting is obviously a very good thing to do. But he doesn't scout what it is. And there are tons of question marks. You could know there is a proxy, but it could still be, you know, Hidden Dark Shrine. It could be Proxy Robo in this case, right? It could just be a gateway that is proxied. So knowing exactly what type it is equally as important as knowing is there, you know, there is one out in the field, which... I mean, puCK is playing cautious. He gets back in here with the Phoenix and sees no Nexus, so he should be even more suspicious.
Yeah, one important thing also is that he scouts pretty much all of the area where the pylons would have been able to build something here for Firefly. So he should know, wait a second, okay, you don't have your tech. You need to have your tech at this point in a PvP. So if you don't have more gateways down, if you don't have any tech, you're hiding something somewhere. You have to be. So puCK is going to play it a little bit safer to the chest right now. He gets up a shield battery back at home. His Blink Stalker Micro is quite incredible. He really can make some magic happen with it. And he's going to need to versus Immortals and a Warp Prism.
Once he realizes it's just a front attack, he'll bring all of his units to the front. He already has gotten a shield battery here. And, I mean, he's still making all the check marks. You know, okay, it's not an Oracle. It's hopefully not DTs.
Sees the army.
But now he sees the army. He has a robo himself that will be in effect momentarily. She's just holding the ramp first.
So this gets a little bit weird because Firefly is going to have a very hard time moving up this ramp. He can sure force field puCK out of moving down to the low ground, and maybe he can pick off a gateway or two. But puCK is going to be able to escape out of here if he really, really wants to try and take a fight. If he gets up enough units, he can blink down to the low ground.
Yeah. Firefly is going to take advantage of the free gateways.
Yep.
He does know about the blink tech, as he saw the Twilight Council. And he knows that there is a timer for his opponents to get a certain number of Stalkers or maybe his own Immortals, that this can't last forever.
Oh, I love that. puCK actually blocked the natural expansion on the other side of the map. And hold that thought. Mortal getting picked up, taking some damage here. puCK losing a Stalker. So far, that is the first actual unit that's gone down so far for either one of these guys. That's an army unit.
Yeah. And now he has Blink, so that shouldn't happen again. He was just seconds away from it. Well, I say that, and then...
Ooh, jumps in on top of one of the Immortals. Doesn't quite get it, but nearly having enough DPS. I think it was 2 Stalkers away.
Yeah. They both basically have Blink at this point, except that Firefly has Blink for all of his units with that Warp Prism.
But it is worth noting that puCK, he has enough Stalkers now that with another round of Warp-ins, he will have enough that if the Immortal Hardened Shields is off of cooldown, or sorry, on cooldown, I think he might be able to one-shot or get close to one-shotting an Immortal when he right-clicks it.
Yes, especially because they're both weak now. That is true. But as far as the armies go here, there's really not that much of an advantage for puCK.
Yeah.
Blink is something that you can utilize, but the Warp Prism's also very potent.
Gets a Zealot. Sentry gets picked up into the Warp Prism.
Oh, hello. Well, hi there, Hidden Base.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Firefly, it makes sense to expand out of this, but he didn't want to warp in anything back at home to kill the pylon. So, I mean, it's a little bit of that. It's also just a little bit of keeping your opponent in the dark. puCK thinks like, okay, I just need to hold on, when really there is a macro game, and he needs to figure that out.
Well, puCK still does have, and I love this. This is what I was going to say. He still has these stalkers that can blink easily out of his main base and try and get some more scouting information, because the sentries and the immortals are going to try and hold the line. Remember that Firefly went for the Nexus, so he wasn't reinforcing this army, and now the stalkers are going to come in from behind, sniping off the Warp Prism. No more micro for you, says puCK. Snipes off the Immortal and has now been able to bust through and take out the entire army of Firefly. One Immortal gets killed off.
Yeah, interesting decisions there. Firefly saw the stalkers, and instead of saying, oh, I'm about to be surrounded and recalling, he said, oh, I can break your rest of the army, and he was incorrect.
I think what he believed maybe was that, yeah, these stalkers are just going across the map, right? And I think that actually was puCK's original intention. But when he saw the army busting forward, he's like, oh, you're actually going to commit to this. You're not going to go home? Well, then, yeah, we can go for this round. We can play this game. But now Firefly has to deal with the fact that his robo is on the other side of the map. So sure, he gets out an Immortal. He has to flank with that Immortal with no actual other defensive for it.
No, oh, wow, there's a full wall.
Oh,
but Firefly had to kill himself. So he loses a unit right off the bat. He's about to lose control of his ramp. His shield batters are not done yet. So that is a juicy looking pylon to kill, but it's a tap out first. GG.
Well done there by puCK, handling the attack. Of course, it could have been a lot of different things there, so puCK having to account for all the different types of proxies that could have been coming out his way. Could have been a Twilight Council into a Dark Shrine, could have been a Stargate, etc. So he kind of makes the most of the situation, puts his stalkers in the mineral line. And I think actually he didn't really get up any detection, but he had the Robo there, so if it was Dark Templar, he at least was held position on the ramp, so he could have prevented a Dark Templar from coming in.
Yes.
And overall, I really like the way that puCK handled that, but you were talking a lot about the decisions that we ended up seeing coming out of Firefly.
Yeah, as far as puCK goes, he kind of covered his bases against all sorts of XYZ potential, so that was really well played by him. But it was the decision by Firefly to stick around and try and take the fight that really, truly lost in the game, because that might seem like a situation where, you know, it's an all-in, so of course if it doesn't work, I guess he has to tap out. Not really in a PvP, you know, especially if he can buy more time and he does save that army, and he has a Nexus that is, well, hidden in that case, or at least somehow protected in another case. That game does go on, but when you lose the entire army to a surround, you're going to die. And
he was getting good pickoffs there. Firefly was able to kill off a decent number of puCK stalkers here and there before Blink finished. Even afterwards, there were trades back and forth. Yeah. So Firefly was up in supply at certain points in that game. So if he had been able to get up the Nexus, like you said, and just continue to contain until that moment where puCK blunked to the low ground and then recall out or just get out safely, he would have had a decent number of forces to defend back at home.
Yeah.
But that is the nature of PvP. You really got to read into these small little cues of army movement and also what your opponent could potentially be going for, all that stuff.
Right.
It's not a forgiving matchup by any means.
And to be clear, that was a dedicated attack by our Chinese Protoss, and if it didn't work, he was going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But I just think there could have been a game beyond that. You know, Natural Nexus has shield batteries, plus your own Immortals. Getting the whole Immortal, you know, the Immortals being on the map thing was always going to be a conundrum, but there was a game beyond that, but instead he loses the army. Now, puCK should be feeling very good. You know, if there was any nerves, any doubts as to how the player was going to, you know, attack you, then now you kind of have a better understanding, and you also won the game too, so this is a place to feel very confident. We may even see puCK be the aggressive one here.
Yep, it's a feels good man moment. And I also want to note that I know that, well, actually I'll save it in case we see it because I don't want to spoil anything of what I've seen puCK been doing, just in case he decides to pull it in like a game 3 or something.
So you're keeping us in suspense.
I'll keep you guys in suspense, exactly.
Okay, well, now you do you.
Well, mostly just because, well, I know the players are not listening to the stream or anything. You never know, like maybe Firefly's buddy's listening to the stream, and between game 2 and 3, he messages Firefly and he's like, hey buddy, you should be wary because the caster said that puCK likes to do this on this map or something.
I guess that is possible. You are not wrong.
Of course, guys, I want to assure you that we have got a lot of delay, stream delay, so the players not going to have to worry about any of that stream cheating stuff.
Yeah, plus it's unlikely that with the time you would have to explain this, and then Firefly would have to be like alt-tabbing to
yeah, it's actually not viable.
It's not really, anyways. You know what? If it happens though, and you're like, "This is what I'm talking about," now we'll believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right, we're going to be starting up here on the top left-hand corner of the map, atop of the blue Protoss player. He is Firefly.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it is Roots puCK.
So, of course, in PvP, we usually don't see any kind of deviations from each other until after the gateways have finished up, the cybernetics core is down, and then we finally end up seeing the tech being thrown down, as well as whether it's double adept or double stalker or stalker adept. Just waiting for the day that we have some sort of mix-up, like we get someone who's like, I'm going to make actually, no, I have seen that. I've seen 2 Sentry before. It's a Streya's build.
What does it do?
He's explained to me before. It gives you a little bit extra scouting information, of course, because you have the so you can hallucinate Phoenix a little bit more often. But it also lets you defend an expansion a bit faster, because most forms of aggression, outside of like Blink Stalkers, is like a lot of the robo aggression and that kind of stuff that might come across the map. So you have more force fields available, so you can actually defend your Nexus a little bit faster. It was an interesting thing. He gets he gets up 4 sentries, 3 sentries, something like that.
Okay.
But I really doubt we're going to be seeing that out of either one of these players, and in fact, we don't. It's Stalker Sentry and Sentry Adept.
Yeah, which you usually don't see the Sentry Adept.
Yeah.
Sentry Stalker, yeah, that's what's been really even polluting PvP. 90% of the openers for a time there.
That's the safest and most normal opening.
Yeah. But
oh,
I mean,
that's cute.
There's still the Stalker openers that lead into like a Proxy Pylon slow warping. There's still the Adept openers with a Stargate, you know, going for a lot of aggression, which might be what Firefly is going into. Is he going to produce any more depths?
Yeah, for now he invested some of his minerals into the pylon on the other side of the map, so he tries to wall off puCK for a moment just to see what units come out of the gateway. He cancels that, so he gets the minerals back. Still not actually building a gateway. He's just making a Stargate, I guess. And
yeah, and a Nexus. Yeah,
wow.
So not really about the aggression, the Adepts, you know, right into your face, but just expansion?
It's a bit of a risk. I think this works because of how the meta is shaped up, where we see so many Stalker Sentry openings. And I guess that's also why he builds the pylon there and waits to see what gateway units come out. Because if it is double adept, you could be in a bit of trouble. But yeah, it's maybe a little bit of a risk there, I think, from Firefly, but it's going to pan out just fine.
Well, the Adept got that probe. It was really annoying.
Yeah.
And the Oracle, well, he is building an Oracle, but the Phoenix that he hallucinates is going to be able to see if puCK has any defense against an Oracle, so whether that's the Stalkers in the main, which is one of the obvious ways to do it, or if it's another Stargate, right? But he sees that it's actually a Robo.
Yeah, I mean, in traditional PvP logic, the Stargate is the opening you want to have against a player that's going for Robo, but it's not always so simple these days. You can definitely make the Robo work versus those Stargate openings. We have a second Oracle on the way as well, looking to one-shot those workers. puCK is going to see that Oracle in a matter of seconds as it is getting close to moving in. Or is he going to wait for the second Oracle? He might actually just wait.
Maybe he waits.
Oh, 4 sentries, a Warp Prism, and a Stalker make their way out. He scouts out this Oracle, going to get a little chip damage, but this is also going to keep puCK at home. It's both really good and really bad that puCK has scouted this out because for puCK, because one, he knows that he has to leave some units back at home to deal with the Oracle. That's actually reassuring, knowing that where you have to position your stuff.
Depth there too. The Depth actually got through.
This is a bit hard. I feel like this can be a bit weirder and harder to make this work. He does soften up the other Oracle as well. Maybe this can work out really well for him.
I think he'll be okay. Even when there's 2 Oracles attacking, you know, through the shield battery, that is a lot of their defense not at home. That's a lot of the units, right? They made a decision to get a second Oracle, not to have more defense than the natural base.
The Oracles have to come back and help defend. I was going to say, you know, if you have 2 full health Oracles, you can snipe off those sentries very, very quickly here. But I think with the Oracles losing so many hit points, and now we end up seeing a Stalker getting picked off, some probes getting picked off, this is a really nice spot for puCK.
He's going to be able to continue using those force fields. He's going to grab the Oracles easy.
Oh my god, really quick pickup micro there from puCK. Those Oracles do damage so quickly, but he barely takes any damage in most of these sentries. Only loses 1, continuing to force field these probes so they can't actually be pulled against this army for a long time. Finally, the Void Ray is out, but the Void Ray is getting focus fire down. It's 1 hit away from death. Shield battery going to heal it back up, but puCK is after it once again, gets it, and is going to be netting himself a game number 2.
Nice attack there. Those force fields were very effective. You know, we see 4 sentries, you're like, how bad could that be? And force fields, and you remember that they're actually pretty good. But also just hitting this really neat timing, clean attack where the oracles weren't that helpful.
Yeah.
Even if they weren't injured, they went down pretty fast.
Yeah, they do go down pretty quickly. I think that it's really key also to be able to do the pick while force fielding. Of course, this sounds super simple. It's one of those things that's easy to describe, but much harder to actually execute. But to get effective force fields with the sentries in the Warp Prism position far enough in front, to do the pickup micro when the oracles are target firing down an individual sentry, drop out the sentry and then force field and keep the probes from being pulled onto the stalkers. Like, it is very micro intensive. So puCK being able to pull that off is really nice, because otherwise oracles, they immediately dive in those sentries, and while I'm not going to pretend it's like a super duper easy defense from there, you do kill the sentries, you kill a lot of the power of that attack.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. We see a lot of attacks actually in the game around that second base, though. You know, you had Firefly go for more probes, where obviously puCK was going for a dedicated attack, and that plus the superb micro we saw was able to get game number 2 and a 2-0.
Yep, and that means that puCK moves on to the winner's match, and that means he's going to be facing off versus the dreaded Haas in a PvP. Now, Psyark is going to be facing off versus Firefly in the loser's match, and that is going to be the next one up. So, ladies and gentlemen, now the Protoss versus Terran headed your way.